Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design. Hello, listeners. In this episode today, we dive into Caroline's recent trip to Palm Springs for Modernism Week. Modernism Week is an annual celebration of mid-century modern architecture, design and culture, and this year marked its 20th anniversary. Caroline joined a group of Australian designers on a tour organised by the Design Coach with exclusive access to iconic homes and all the vibrant energy that makes Palm Springs such a design lover's dream. I can't wait to hear all about it. Let's get stuck into it. Hi, Kaz.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
I can't wait to talk to you about this. I know we've sort of had little chats here and there, but let's really get into it and Modernism Week and just how amazing all the houses were and the people you went with and met. Can't wait to hear about it.
Fantastic. Here we go.
So what is Palm Springs like and who resides there?
Palm Springs to me is like Disneyland. It is incredible. It's one of those places you actually walk into, drive into and just think, I'm actually in this place. It could be in a dream. It's absolutely beautiful. It's in a desert and it's surrounded by mountains and it's set like a Hollywood movie set.
Right.
Everything looks perfect, picture perfect. And I just think it's just got a fantastic feel to it. It is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Warm?
It was beautiful. The weather in Palm Springs really
February
is always hot.
So
always
they
warm.
never really have a winter.
They really don't have a winter. So that's why people often, celebs and retirees and lots of gay couples live there. It's not filled with children. It's mainly, mature adults.
Wealthy?
Definitely wealthy.
So older people, I'd imagine.
Without a doubt.
Right.
So that's the majority of people who live there. And because the weather is so beautiful all year round, that's why people go there.
And are there palm trees everywhere?
And there's palm trees everywhere.
Okay. So I know that you're going to talk a lot about this because you really love this particular designer. But tell us a little bit about Martyn Lawrence Bullard and what his Palm Springs home was like.
Sure. Well, Martyn is an award-winning designer. He's very flamboyant. He's so talented. He's very diverse in what he does. So he will go into a property, whether it's here in Australia, whether it's in LA or whether it's in England.
He's actually English, isn't he?
He is.
But he lives in America.
He lives in America. He can do anything. He's just so diverse in his approach to things. So as a result, he will walk in and even if it's not his style, he just puts his stamp on things and he makes the client feel like they've owned that home or that property, and it's really he can bring out the best in what he's got to work with.
In what they want.
In what they want.
But what was his home like?
Well, his home in Palm Springs was just full of colour. It's gorgeous, mid-century home and it's, got a really groovy, 60s swinging, gorgeous, fun, loving, everything that you look at is all looks back to the pool. It's got little rooms, that could be media rooms, but also could, his gorgeous bedrooms, and he's done beautiful bathrooms throughout, and he's got bars.
Where exactly does he live in Palm Springs? Where is the location of his house? Is it in an area where other designers?
Yeah, absolutely. So he definitely would be in a part of Palm Springs where there is a lot of celebrities.
Right.
Yeah, celebrities. I'm going to say to you, Hollywood movie stars. That's where he is. So it is definitely a more wealthy part of Palm Springs.
Because he's what you would say a celebrity designer.
Without a doubt. But his vibe is very Regency, architectural, lots of glam. He's very glamorous and he's very flamboyant. So he was actually said to us when we were at his property that he was had a lot of strict regulations about what he was able to do in the house. So, for example, he wasn't able to go outside the footprint. He had to be within the footprint that was existing. So he couldn't touch anything that was mid-century design. So therefore he could move things, but he had to be very mindful and everything had to be looked at.
Right.
Regulations are very strict there. So, for example, if you want to change, walk-in robe to a bathroom, that all had to be looked at by the council before
Right.
anything got changed.
Right.
But his house was absolutely gorgeous, full of colour, every colour you can imagine, patterns on walls, ceilings, wallpaper, tiles, carpets, everything was just next level. And, sunken lounge rooms.
Cool.
Really cool.
Was there a favourite room?
I'm going to say to you probably the lounge room, which overlooked the pool area, which is actually the front entrance of the home.
Wow.
So when you walk in, you're looking straight at the pool and you're looking straight through the glass windows, beautiful oversized windows everywhere.
Sounds like the pool's the anchor of the house.
Definitely. And this sunken lounge, it's just gorgeous and it's just fantastic colour. And another little tidbit on there is that it was actually previously owned, this house, by Roger Moore and Hugh Hoffman.
Oh, God.
If walls could talk.
Party house.
Party house.
Right.
Well, I think it is the party house, to tell you the truth.
Right. Fun.
Sensational.
So was this a standout for you, this property?
I think so, only because I, as you know, Chrissy, just love colour, love pattern on pattern, and I think he's brilliant.
No, you love Martyn.
And I love Martyn.
She sent me 20 photos
He's
of her with
delicious.
him just to make me jealous. Okay, let's move on from Martyn.
Sure.
What was Frey House like? And tell us about Frey House.
Sure. So Frey House was done by an influential architect, Albert Frey, and he designed this modernism personalised for him. It's got extraordinary views. That's what I'm going to start with, and that's its highlight. And it's actually built into a mountainside, the home, and so it's all connected to nature. It's all connected to the environment around it, and it almost looks camouflaged into the side of a mountain.
Right.
So it's, again, very mid-century design, so very, very open. And so the actual position of the home is the key to it. So where it's positioned in the mountain.
And is it lots of levels?
No, just one level.
Right.
And again, a pool out the front, in the front
So
entrance.
is that a thing there?
It is, absolutely. It is a thing there. And all the windows are absolutely oversized everywhere. You generally, the view is what you're looking at, and that's what it's all about.
Right.
And everything's flat, and all the roofs are pitched, but very slightly pitched, and everything is low. All the ceilings are very low. So that's part of the look that these mid-century homes have.
But I guess a lot of natural light with all of these huge windows.
And lots of different, modernism principles that, done by, that simplicity at its finest, and the functionality of the home and how it's harmonious to what it connects to. And this definitely connected to the environment.
Okay, so Frey House was a little bit different. It wasn't as glamorous?
It definitely was not as glamorous.
Right.
The interiors, it's all about like a very muted palette, geometric forms, the structure of, the building, and blending it into its natural, surroundings, its nature. And again, as I said, lots of natural light, and the placement of the house and the windows are the highlight.
Mm.
And it gives the interiors really the natural light, and there wasn't a lot of soft interiors in the home, unlike Martyn's. It's all about
no shag pile?
No shag pile. It's just very bare minimum of soft furnishings for you and I, and even for you.
Oh, I've got a sore back thinking about that.
Exactly. So really, window furnishings, yes. Bed linen, yes. Sofa, I'm going to say to you, leather, a lot of leather.
Okay.
So everything else is all about, the cabinetry, and it would have been timbers, and it would have been about, what the actual structure of the house,
right.
How a column was, perhaps placed in the house for structural reasons,
right.
and what that was finished in, maybe in brick. So it was definitely very clever, but actually very relaxing, because what you're looking at is the mountains, and this particular home, Frey House, was overlooking Palm Springs.
Oh,
So you're
cool.
just looking over the desert. So very easy care, low maintenance, Chrissy, that one.
Right, okay. Well, it just sounds like the complete opposite to Martyn's house.
It sure was.
Okay, so let's move on. You took a walking tour called the Rat Pack Tour. I like the sound of that. You would fit right in with that.
Thanks.
What did this involve?
Well, this was a walking tour, as it says, and it was a walking tour consisted of looking at beautiful modernism homes, and all these homes did belong and do belong
To the Rat Pack?
To the Rat Pack. And the Rat Pack consisting of people like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and so that was the Rat Pack, the original Rat Pack, and then they had more and people who were included and people who
I thought it was
excluded.
St. Elmo's Fire. Remember that movie?
Yes,
they were called the Rat Pack.
They were, absolutely.
Okay, so this was like the 1950s and 60s
Yes,
movie stars,
movie stars,
singers and dancers.
Exactly.
Right.
And so they all had, properties there, so that it would just be party central.
Right.
So they'd go from one home to the next. Of course, they were making music, or they needed to be close to
each other.
Well, they were close to each other, and all the gossip you can imagine that came out of there was quite extraordinary. But they all, when we were walking around looking at these mid-century beautiful homes, they just talked about the gossip. And it was all about the gossip, and Debbie Reynolds would be talked about and Elvis would be talked about in every conversation.
And were their houses similar?
The houses are similar, absolutely. They're similar, but
Some had bigger bars maybe?
Yeah, perhaps. Well, it's really, they were a collection of homes that were mass-produced, but in all of these homes they would have a point of difference.
Right.
So that's where, the architect was very clever, and he was mass producing these homes, which are all, we probably say exactly the same, cookie cutter, Lego homes, but everything was so different in its style. It might have just been a couple of things. For example, it might have been a colour that was put, or a garden that was done differently, or the size of the windows, still oversized, as talked about in mid-century design, but every house looked different in its own way.
And was the pool still the feature?
Yeah. Often in these homes they would have a fence. So, the fence could connect up to the front door. So you may not even see what the actual landscape of the garden was. But, yeah, often, without a doubt, there would be, kidney-shaped pool.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and these were just beautiful homes, and they would have, perhaps a touch of colour being the front door was different to the next door neighbours.
Right.
So they're very clever, very, very clever.
Sounds amazing.
But they are masterpieces of mid-century modern architecture.
Was there a favourite house in the Rat Pack group?
Well, not really, but there was one home that was pink. It was a soft baby pink, and it was just
Debbie
beautiful.
Reynolds or who?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Honestly, there was so many we looked at, and
Barbie.
We talked about. Yeah, it could have been Barbies. Yeah, but it was just, they were just awesome. And the more you walked up and looked at the detail, the more that you noticed that they definitely weren't, mass produced, as people would say. They're definitely very individual.
Really, no expense had been spared. Well, I guess they're the people that can afford it.
Absolutely.
To have the best of everything.
Absolutely.
What was it like stepping inside Frank Sinatra's house?
Oh, my gosh. That was, well, of course, you walk in there and the first thing that you see is the twin palm trees.
Oh.
So you just know you're there, and it's actually quite mind-blowing because, it's a pinch-yourself moment, I think, being in Frank Sinatra's house and stepping inside his lounge room and the record player's playing, and, of course, he's I did it my way in the background.
Thanks for that.
It's all right. My pleasure.
What do you mean? It was like
it was just his
sign
songs and his music being played in the background.
Right.
Just fantastic.
Okay.
It really gave you, a good feeling.
What sort of style did Frank have?
Again, mid-century, the architect in that house was E. Stuart Williams, And he definitely was a big part of that mid-century design. And he did that for Frank and Nancy and their 3 children. And that's where they'd come, to when they wanted some downtime from and just be away. But it was filled with mid-century furniture, and it was a party house to the Hollywood elite.
I can imagine.
You can imagine. And again, swimming pool in the front yard.
Like Slim Aaron's photographs.
Everywhere. But he also had, special things in the house. Like there was a whole wall filled with black and white photos and just of Hollywood movie stars and him with them. And, it was just, it just had an incredible feel. But the furniture in there just absolutely mind-blowingly beautiful, very classic, again, mid-centric classics, and chandeliers, just not over the top, not Murano glass over the top, but very subdued, perhaps with a little bit more gold, definitely with some Murano glass.
Traditional.
Yeah, might have some crystals on it. Wall sconces, they were prevalent in a lot of homes in Palm Springs, which gorgeous.
So as in chandelier sconces?
Yes, chandelier sconces.
Just to glam it up?
Just to glam it up. What else would I say about his home? He had a front entrance and a back entrance. So where his backyard was, it was filled with beautiful, gorgeous, groovy cars. I just think his property was very large.
Did he have a bit of a car collection going?
He had a car collection going.
Were any of the cars there?
Yes, there was 2 cars there.
Oh, wow.
And they were super gorgeous and groovy, and I'll put a photo up on our socials and show you those.
I'd love to see that.
Fantastic. And then he had a second wife in that home.
Oh.
So, yeah, I know. So Ava Gardner.
Right. Just her. Yeah.
But he had a long affair, I think, with her.
Right.
So she ended up being, in this home quite a bit. But still in the home, in her living there, Ava, Nancy's paintings, she was a painter and artist. I didn't know that. His first wife, and they were still up on the wall, which was, I thought, really lovely.
Oh.
And even the children's, bedrooms were all still decked out in, their bed linen and, some paintings of hers in their rooms, which I thought was a lovely touch.
Good to see that divorce can be amicable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but it was just amazing, and it was a pinch me moment.
Yes, it would be.
And it was actually owned by Cary Grant, his home, before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Frank Sinatra. So there's another little thing to tell you.
Gosh, full of the gossip today.
I know, but also one other fact that I found very interesting was that you can rent this property.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually for rent now.
I'd be scared to touch anything.
I know. It sleeps 8 people. So it's surprising. And you could have your wedding there, or you can even have an event. Yeah, or even just a cool dinner party.
Was it in good condition?
It's in beautiful smick. And that is one thing about all these properties in Palm Springs. Every detail is fabulous, and it's
so they're well looked after.
Very well looked after. And what happens with Modernism Week, it's looked upon as a part of a charitable cause. So all these historic homes are preserved.
Right.
And, sustainability is is key. And so as a result of that, all these properties are beautifully looked after, and it all comes back to looking after your community. So if you actually get your home, or your home is open during Modernism Week, all the funds go back to preserving, helping, and looking after.
Because you have to pay to go into these houses.
Yes, you do, exactly. So the community gets the money back. So as a result, Palm Springs is next level, beautiful and beautifully
maintained
kept and
within
maintained
an inch of its life.
With every inch of its life.
Right, okay, interesting. So I think you also went into the James Logan Abernathy, is that how you pronounce his surname?
Yes, that's right.
Residence. It looks incredible. Talk us through this.
Well, it's a beautiful, again, mid-century designed home. The architect there was William Cody, and it was an unbelievable house. It was huge. It was absolutely huge, and it consisted of 5 pyramid roofs.
Ooh.
And it was designed like a pinwheel plan. But this is because of the restrictions that these architects do have, and so they had to work with that. So as a result, it had this pinwheel plan, and again, very, very low ceilings, flat roofs, but it just made the house huge. So it was almost in an L shape, and that actually the pool was in the backyard in this case, because it had an al fresco area as well.
Okay.
And so the gardens were just absolutely sensational, next level. But the expanses of windows and glass were huge, and so everything looked back. The majority of the windows looked back into this beautiful garden with its oversized L-shaped pool. And to the back of the garden that's where they had their al fresco dining, which was almost like another living quarters.
Gosh. Can you walk around in these properties and drink and
Yeah,
so
so
on?
no, often you had to take your shoes off.
Right.
Or you'd have to put a shoe cover on. And they also had no food, no drink. And often in these properties there was no photos either.
Okay.
Because
Keep it special.
Yes, if it's a person's private home, which again, as I just talked about, they people did open their own homes. They asked for no photos. But yes, this particular house of James's, the outdoor living area was just next level. It had, the gardens were just exquisite, like with lots of native plants and cactuses and, palm springs, having palm trees everywhere. But everything being oversized.
Okay.
So just the gardens were exquisite. And there would be several gardens. A lot of master bedrooms would have a courtyard or a small garden that it opened out to.
Indoor, outdoor living.
Absolutely.
Kind of like the Australian way.
Well, they were, way before their time, weren't they? So just, exquisite.
Sounds so good. And you were lucky enough to see the Sunnylands historic home.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So this historic mid-century beautifully decorated home, this was a lot more soft furnishings in this particular home. It had the most exceptional gardens. It included a state-of-the-art golf course and lakes.
Lakes?
Yes, lakes.
Not one?
No, several.
Wow.
And outdoor sculptures.
It must have been a huge scale.
It was huge, and it also included guest cottages.
Okay.
Yeah, so this house was decorated mainly in Regency style.
Yep,
Hollywood Regency style. And everything was custom made. All the interior decorations and all the design, you could see that it came back to that Regency style. And the furniture was all done by William Hines, and it also, in this particular property, it had a reception area, if you like, and in that reception area there was an exhibition, and that exhibition was set up with all William Hines's furniture and his designs and how he made, designed and crafted his furniture.
Incredible.
So it was all set up in, as I say, in a gallery inside a museum.
Incredible,
of the reception
yes.
of the home. This particular house was owned by the Annenberg family, a very, very wealthy couple, and they have since left it. They've both gone to God, and they were both buried on the property, which is very, very rare. But because it's such a big, massive piece of land, they were able to do that.
Did you go and find their graves?
No, I didn't bother doing that. Thanks for asking.
Say a little prayer.
Exactly. But this very wealthy couple have now given that home to, and it's a foundation trust run home now, and it's run by their children and some of their grandchildren.
Oh, how lovely!
And so now they run intimate retreats there, and it continues on, and so it's all about the legacy of learning, education, and in the programs they entwine art, nature, and culture. So you can't just go there and have a conference.
No.
But if it was to do with education and art or nature and culture, yes, they would allow it. And so it goes back to the children, and they get to decide whether they can have that particular retreat at that property. Really
Incredible.
Unique and special place. But it just, it has had during its time, presidents would go and stay there.
Incredible.
So 8 presidents that I know of, the royals. So they would stay there. Many celebrities would stay there, world leaders, noted individuals, and lots of other guests. And often these guests would have a rose named after them, And so they'd plant their rose into this beautiful rose garden that they had, and the rose would be named after that person.
Divine.
It was very, very special.
I had no idea you could stay at some of these properties.
Yes. So
Or have parties or
yes.
festivals.
Yes. I know, quite extraordinary, but I suppose that's why you go and you learn all these things.
Yes.
But this particular property, the trellises, the cofted ceilings, they had lots of lava stone, so very light and airy again, mid-century, everything very open plan, very oversized, lots of, there was a lot of steel beams because of the actual size of the property. It all led to this pink pyramid.
Wow.
That was at the top of the roof on the house. And it was the pink pyramid was done and painted that colour so that at night when they had beautiful sunsets, that the actual reflection from the pink would be the reflection that you'd see in the mountains in the backdrop.
Incredible. Wow.
So it's done
that's
for
cool.
that very reason. So you could just, see the sunset and see the glow.
So it none of it looked industrial.
No, not at all.
Right.
And the interiors, probably now I'd say the interiors would be a bit dated, but, it's just so beautifully done that you could not love it.
A beautiful time warp.
Yeah, it was. It was a gorgeous time warp.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Hey, what surprised you most about Modernism Week?
I'm going to say to you, it's so special that everybody in that town comes together. And I think, you walk around and there's all these volunteers and people are just willing and happy to help you.
That's nice.
They're very, very, very proud Americans. And I could see that, and all these people who were there, donating their time and, giving back to their community, you could really feel it. And, I didn't feel unsafe or awkward or, I shouldn't be there at any point in the time I was there.
Well, that's refreshing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. We're there giving back and, seeing all this beauty and just learning and educating ourselves and just, it's just, yeah.
And enjoying.
And enjoying ourselves, absolutely.
Did you come back with any new ideas or inspiration for your own work?
I did, actually. So I don't do a lot of mid-century. I have over, my career, but definitely
it's not your natural go-to.
It's not my natural go-to. So it's definitely, without a doubt, made me think about it more. And, I love mixing and matching, but I've definitely found, for example, with my artwork and with my decorative items, mid-century is probably something I'm thinking about a little bit more now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it as glamorous as it looks?
I'm going to say yes.
I thought so.
It is. It's really glamorous and, next level, like fun, over the top. Some of the other properties I haven't mentioned today, but were just ridiculously over the top. And for me to say over the top.
It's a big statement
from you. It's a big statement coming from me. Houses done, with pink loos and fabric and, wallpapers in bathrooms and, crazy carpet everywhere and it's crazy.
Sounds like lots of pools everywhere, palm trees and everything's oversized.
Absolutely.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for talking us through that today and we'll see you next time.
Pleasure. Chrissy, thank you very much. See ya.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.